How about the misconception that the HR person should be your level of contact?
Mm-hmm. You mean when you're applying into new companies?
Yes.
Well, the HR person may play a part, but actually sending out your resume only to the HR managers is not a good idea. Instead, what we try to do is reach the hiring managers of the departments that you're interested in. Some career coaches will go so far as to say, avoid HR as much as you can when you're applying for jobs because the HR people are just trying to screen you out, not invite you in. I'm not sure I would go quite that far, but I understand what they're saying. It's much better to try to network into an organization and try to get a meeting or an appointment, a phone call perhaps, with the hiring manager, thereby bypassing HR, going right to the decision maker. In some cases, the HR manager might come into the process later, filling out paperwork, getting the thing all signed and sealed and delivered if you've been hired. The best person to talk to inside a company is the hiring manager rather than the HR manager.
One of the misconceptions I've heard, especially from the more mature worker, is that I'm looking for a career where I can find a job where I can have a loyal employer. Mm-hmm. Are these people still even marketable with that type of mindset?
Well, this whole concept of loyalty is really kind of out the window. Again, 30, 40 years ago, there was a bond, a contract of loyalty between employer and employee. If you're the employee, you do the right thing, you show up every day, you keep your nose clean, the company will take care of you, and vice versa. That's gone now. It's every man or woman for herself. So, no, you cannot just try to find a safe hiding place in a company and try to stay there forever until the day you retire. I've had many clients come to me over the years saying things like, look, I'm 50 years old. I just want to find a place where I can work for the next 5, 10 years and sort of, bide my time, let things flow until I'm ready to retire. No, that is no way to think and no way to behave. It's also a fantasy because the average tenure these days in any white-collar job is between 2 and 4 years. And even that's being generous. It's more like 2 years. So to think that you're going to find some job and just stay there for the next 10, 12 years until you retire, it might happen, but it's likely that it won't happen.
How about the misconception that I have had a wealth of experience in several areas, so therefore I can apply to all of the different jobs that I've done in the last 20 years? How does that work now in today's economy?
Well, there's an old saying, you're only as good as your last project or your last success. So employers are going to be looking at what you've done most recently and what's most fresh in your background and your accomplishments. So this idea you mentioned doesn't really work very well. We have to focus on what you've been doing lately and where you can add the most value, unless you want to make a complete career change, which is possible. But if you're not going to make a career change, then focus on what you've been doing lately and where your best successes have been in recent years.
As far as misconceptions about career management, what advice do you give people to be better prepared to manage their careers and to look out for some of these avoidances?
Well, it's always being ready, always being prepared. We talked about keeping your documents up to date, continually learning and developing in your own professional world, making sure that you are connected and that your network is well alive. You're doing your research, you know the competition. You're practicing your interviewing and negotiating skills all the time so you're ready for anything. Again, it's this combination of doing all these different career management skills all at the same time. It's not just practicing one or selecting one. It's about doing them all in tandem, all in concert with one another.
These common misconceptions can really be a problem for job seekers. I guess they may not even be aware of their own misconceptions. Would you agree?
Totally agree.
So what would be the solution then? What's the antidote for this problem?
The solution, I think, is education. People need to become more aware. They can go to workshops and seminars on career management. They can talk to career coaches, career counselors. They can avail themselves of any number of resources, online, offline. It's all about education. It's about being real with the current realities of the work world. Education, training, exposure, awareness. That's the antidote. That's the solution to this problem with misconceptions.